What if I told you that the most magical realm in literature wasn't born in a dream, but in a quiet Swiss valley called Lauterbrunnen? In 1911, a 19-year-old traveler named J.R.R. Tolkien walked these very paths, carrying nothing but a backpack and a wandering mind. This is the story of how a summer hike transformed into the eternal blueprint for Middle-earth's Elven refuge, Rivendell. We are venturing into the Valley of 72 Waterfalls to discover the thin line between reality and legend. In the background, the immense scale of the U-shaped valley becomes apparent as the cliffs seem to touch the very edges of the sky. Wisps of fog cling to the pine trees that defy gravity on the sheer rock faces. You can almost feel the weight of the backpack and the crisp, thin air as we step into the footsteps of a young scholar. Before he was the master of high fantasy, Tolkien was a mortal man overwhelmed by the sheer verticality of the Swiss Alps. This landscape doesn't just sit before you, it looms, demanding your absolute silence and reverence. It is a place where the modern world feels like a distant, fading memory. To understand why this place matters, you have to look past the postcards and feel the scale of the 72 waterfalls. Each cascade is a voice and a choir that has been singing since the last ice age. For Tolkien, these weren't just geological features. They were the silver lances of a hidden kingdom. This valley served as the physical manifestation of a sanctuary protected by nature itself. The Staubbach Falls, where the water doesn't so much fall as it drifts, caught by the wind and turned into a shimmering lace veil. The camera tilts upward, following the 297-meter drop to the point where the water meets the sky at the cliff's edge. Droplets of mist catch the light, creating a sparkling haze that blurs the boundary between rock and air. Standing beneath the Staubbach, you realize why this is the highest free-falling waterfall in Europe. The spray creates a microclimate of eternal spring, coating the mossy stones in a permanent crystalline glisten. It is easy to see how a young man's imagination could turn this mist into the laughter of elves. Here, the water doesn't just crash, it breathes against the stone. A lone hiker is silhouetted against a massive, snow-capped mountain peak in the far distance. The wind whips through the long grass, bending it low toward the earth. The stakes of Tolkien's journey were more than just physical. He was a young man seeking a world that felt right. This 1911 expedition was a grueling trek through treacherous terrain that tested his endurance and sharpened his senses. He wasn't just looking at the view, he was absorbing the geography of a legend. Every jagged peak and hidden gully was being mapped into a subconscious atlas of Middle-earth. The concept of the last homely house begins right here, where the civilization of the village meets the wild unknown. Rivendell was never meant to be a fortress of stone, but a refuge of spirit tucked into a cleft in the world. Tolkien found that balance in Lauterbrunnen, where a warm hearth is always within sight of a thundering abyss. It is the ultimate personification of cozy meeting sublime. To a dramatic god's eye view from directly above the cliff edge, looking straight down into the valley floor thousands of feet below. The tiny cars and houses look like toys, and the river looks like a discarded silver thread. The sheer drop-off is dizzying, emphasizing the isolation and protection the valley walls provide. But here is the twist. Tolkien didn't just find beauty here, he found the perilous realm. The hike was dangerous, filled with rock slides and sudden storms that nearly claimed his party. In his letters, he spoke of a terror of the mountains just as much as their majesty. This duality, the beauty that can kill you, is the secret ingredient that makes his fantasy world feel so terrifyingly real. Tolkien was obsessed with the bones of the earth, and here, those bones are exposed for all to see. He saw the history of the world written in the strata of these alpine giants. To him, the mountains weren't static, they were sleeping giants with their own ancient memories. This wasn't just a vacation, it was a geological seance with the past. The sky transitions from deep orange to a bruised purple, and the first stars begin to prick through the canopy of the atmosphere. The waterfalls below turn into ghost white streaks in the twilight. As the sun dips, the valley transforms into something entirely otherworldly and ethereal. This blue hour, in Lauterbrunnen, is when the veil between our world and the fictional one is thinnest. You can almost hear the harps of the Eldar echoing off the granite walls as the day ends. Tolkien noted that the light in these mountains had a quality he had never seen in England. This is the climax of the sensory experience. The the moment where the physical weight of the water becomes a spiritual force. It's not just a waterfall, it's a curtain being pulled back on another dimension. Tolkien described the long silver threads of the falls in his descriptions of the hidden valley. You aren't just looking at Swiss scenery anymore, you are standing in the heart of a masterpiece. On a quiet, mossy bridge over a glacial stream, where the water is a milky, turquoise blue. Ferns and heavy foliage hang over the water's edge, dripping with moisture. The air is visibly thick with cool, oxygen-rich oxygen that seems to glow in the filtered sunlight. This is the hidden part of the hidden valley, the micro-details that Tolkien cherished. He noticed how the trees seemed to lean in to listen to the water's conversation. In his mind, these weren't just plants, but the precursors to Ents and ancient forest spirits. The silence here is not empty, it is heavy with the potential for myth. The valley at night, with the village lights twinkling like fallen stars against the black silhouette of the cliffs. The moon rises over the jagged tooth of a peak, casting a silver glow over the entire landscape. The waterfalls are now invisible, known only by their persistent, haunting roar. Even in the dark, the presence of the mountains is felt as a physical pressure against the chest. Tolkien's Rivendell was a place where time worked differently, and at night, Lauterbrunnen feels timeless. The 20th century disappears, leaving only the moon, the stone, and the water. It is a refuge from the noise of history, a theme that would define his entire life's work. A droplet falling from a leaf, the texture of a weathered wooden signpost, a distant eagle circling a peak, and the reflection of the mountains in a still pool. Each shot is crisp and saturated, emphasizing the vividness Tolkien sought in his prose. A modern-day traveler looking out over the valley with an open book in their lap. We realize that the story didn't end with Tolkien's departure in 1911. Thousands now come here not just to see Switzerland, but to find the entrance to a world they've lived in through pages. The resolution of his journey was the creation of a sanctuary that millions now call home. This valley didn't just inspire a book, it gave a soul to the genre of fantasy. As we leave Lauterbrunnen, we carry with us the realization that imagination always has a root in the soil. Tolkien took the majesty of these cliffs and the music of these falls and wove them into a tapestry that will never fade. He proved that the most extraordinary legends are often just the truth, observed with a poet's eye. The last homely house is still here, waiting for anyone who knows how to look. Our journey through the valley ends where Tolkien's began, with a single step and a sense of wonder. Lauterbrunnen remains the world's most beautiful bridge between what is real and what is imagined. Go forth, wanderer, and find your own Rivendell in the folds of the map. The silver veil is calling, and the mountains are waiting to tell you their secrets.